Have you ever felt that there's a hidden story behind someone's glance? A silent message in the way they move? A secret they're almost, but not quite, revealing? There's a subtle energy in the air around us, one most people overlook, but it carries more truth than any conversation ever could. Imagine walking into a room and noticing details so small that almost no one else sees them. The way someone holds their gaze a fraction longer than usual, a slight lean forward, a delicate gesture that repeats unconsciously. These are not coincidences. These are whispers of inner feelings, quiet signals that reveal longing, desire, and emotional need, things that words often fail to express. Hi, I'm Karen. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our latest content. I'm genuinely excited to hear your thoughts on today's topic, and I want to make this interactive. If what I share resonates with you, drop a 1 in the comments below. If it doesn't, leave a 0. Your feedback is incredibly important. It helps me create videos that truly connect with you and address the things you care about most. Today, I'm going to reveal insights that will completely change the way you understand what a woman is really communicating when she talks to you. We're not just skimming the surface here. We're going deep into the subtle cues, unspoken signals, and hidden layers of communication that most people completely miss. By the end of this video, you'll not only see things differently, you'll understand them in a way that gives you clarity, confidence, and a fresh perspective on connection. Let's begin with perhaps the most revealing of all, body language. The human body is like a diary written in gestures, micro movements, and expressions. When someone hasn't experienced intimacy for a time, their body begins to communicate in ways that can be hard to articulate but impossible to ignore once you know what to look for. A friend of mine once told me about a colleague whose behavior shifted subtly, almost imperceptibly. She would lean just slightly closer, maintain eye contact a heartbeat longer than usual, or brush her hair in the middle of a conversation. On the surface, these actions seem ordinary, even random, but psychology tells us otherwise. Unexpressed emotions and unmet needs often manifest physically. Repetitive gestures, subtle touches, or shifts in posture all act as silent signals. These aren't deliberate attempts to send a message. They are the body's way of seeking connection, of releasing energy that words cannot capture. When you learn to observe with intention, you can read this silent language. You start to understand what someone is feeling without them saying a single word. This awareness doesn't just make you more perceptive, it makes you a safe, empathetic presence, capable of responding to subtle cues with insight and care. But understanding behavior isn't just about what the body does. It's also about what the mind allows to surface. Humor, for example, can be a masterful, unconscious tool of connection. When someone has been without intimacy, their humor can shift in tone, becoming subtly provocative or layered with curiosity. Imagine being in a casual group and a seemingly innocent joke carries a hint of something more, a flicker of meaning hidden behind laughter. At first, it might appear harmless, even trivial, but pay attention to the details, the timing, the gaze, the reaction to your response. Humor in this form is rarely accidental. It is a test, a gentle way of exploring boundaries, seeing if the other person notices, engages, and reciprocates. One friend recounted how his neighbor, once simply friendly, began incorporating bolder, more intimate humor into their interactions. He didn't realize it at first, dismissing it as playfulness, but over time, he saw a pattern. These small jokes were a safe, socially acceptable way to express desire and test for reciprocal attention. This is the beauty of humor. It protects and reveals at the same time, allowing someone to express curiosity, interest, and longing without ever stepping across personal boundaries. Physical connection adds another layer of subtle communication. Humans are wired for touch, for proximity, for the simple warmth that presence brings. When someone has gone without intimate connection, their body naturally seeks reassurance and closeness in small, meaningful ways. I remember hearing about Laura, a colleague who, over time, began to express a quiet need for connection, a lingering hug, a light brush on the arm, a proximity that just slightly exceeded casual expectation. All of these are unspoken messages, signals that emotional closeness is desired. These gestures are not demands, they are invitations to witness, to respond with care, to honor the unspoken need for human connection. Studies show that humans deprived of touch or closeness develop a heightened sensitivity to physical presence. It's instinctive, deeply human, and profoundly communicative. Noticing these small gestures requires mindfulness, a gentle touch, a slightly prolonged hug, or simply sitting closer than usual can carry volumes about emotional state and readiness to connect. Beyond the physical, words and conversation reveal another layer of insight. When a woman has gone without intimacy, the topics she chooses may evolve, moving from the superficial to the deeply personal. Daily conversations begin to touch on memories, emotions, past relationships, and the desire for meaningful connection. Isabel, a friend I spoke with, shared how her conversations with close friends changed after months without intimate connection. She didn't plan to disclose more. It emerged naturally. She began sharing her thoughts about relationships, her reflections on loneliness, and the experiences she missed in human connection. When someone opens up this way, it is an invitation, an unspoken request to listen, to understand, and to respond with empathy. Emotional sharing in these moments is rarely casual. It is a subtle signal of trust, a gentle testing of whether the other person is attuned enough to meet them on that level. Responding with patience and presence can deepen connection exponentially, while ignoring or dismissing these cues risks missing the opportunity entirely. Then there is what I call silent jealousy, a quiet, almost imperceptible emotional signal. This isn't possessiveness or drama. It's a subtle internal response to attention being directed elsewhere, a reflection of latent desire for connection. Carolina, a college friend, demonstrated this perfectly. When another woman entered the conversation, she didn't react aggressively, but there were tiny shifts. Pauses, slight changes in tone, and small jokes that carried meaning beneath the surface. These responses are subconscious ways of asserting presence, signaling interest and acknowledging emotional longing. Recognizing these signals demands careful observation and empathy. Responding with sensitivity, not confrontation, can help nurture trust, emotional safety, and authentic connection, opening a doorway for deeper engagement. Finally, opportunities for shared time and consistent playful engagement offer the clearest windows into someone's interest. When someone has been without intimacy, they often seek one-on-one moments, preferring private interactions over group settings. It's not about exclusion, it's about creating space for genuine connection. Shared experiences, whether a quiet conversation or a simple activity, create fertile ground for closeness to emerge naturally. Similarly, playful, ongoing interaction, lighthearted banter, jokes that carry subtle double meanings, and laughter shared across multiple encounters builds a rhythm of connection. These patterns signal emotional engagement, curiosity, and openness to deeper interaction without the need for overt verbal cues. Observing these behaviors and responding thoughtfully allows you to participate in this subtle dance of connection, deepening relationships while maintaining respect and authenticity. By attuning yourself to these subtle yet powerful signs, body language, humor, physical closeness, conversational depth, silent jealousy, invitations for private time, and consistent playful engagement, you open the door to understanding emotions that often go unspoken. Every gesture, every shift, and every pause conveys an internal state, offering insight into needs, desires, and readiness for connection. Approaching these signs with sensitivity, mindfulness, and empathy transforms interactions from casual exchanges into meaningful engagement. You learn to respond with care, recognize authentic intent, and cultivate relationships that are emotionally rich, respectful, and mutually fulfilling. Observing and responding to these signals is not about manipulation, it's about connection, awareness, and understanding the language that people often communicate without words. Mastering this subtle art allows you to navigate relationships with depth, insight, and compassion, creating bonds that resonate far beyond surface-level interaction. When you start paying attention to the subtleties of human behavior, you begin to notice patterns that almost no one else sees. Whispers of emotion hidden in plain sight, small, almost imperceptible gestures that reveal longing and the desire for connection. One of the most fascinating aspects of human interaction is how we unconsciously communicate what words cannot capture. A glance that lingers slightly longer than normal, a hand that brushes against yours with casual intent, the way someone shifts their posture in a conversation. All these signals carry meaning, silently revealing emotions that may have been dormant for some time. When a woman has gone without intimate connection, her body and mind often begin to express needs through behaviors that are subtle, yet remarkably revealing. It is here, in these quiet cues, that the depth of her emotional world becomes visible to those who are willing to observe carefully. For instance, small repeated gestures like touching her hair, lightly tapping her fingers, or tilting her head in a specific way can reflect an inner energy that seeks release, a longing for connection that has been restrained for too long. These gestures, often unnoticed by casual observers, are natural expressions of a need that is both psychological and physiological. They are not manipulations or calculated moves. They are the language of desire written into movement, a language that speaks directly to those who know how to read it. The subtle ways in which humor changes when someone has been without intimacy are equally compelling. Humor becomes a bridge, a test, a delicate way to measure receptivity without risking vulnerability. When a woman cracks jokes that carry a faintly provocative undertone, or when seemingly innocuous comments linger just a beat too long in their implication, she may be signaling a readiness for connection that goes deeper than casual friendship. It is never overt. It is carefully measured, a dance between curiosity and caution. Imagine a social gathering where a remark lands just right, something that could be dismissed as playful banter, but the way her eyes follow your reaction, the slight lift of a smile, the almost imperceptible shift in her posture, all reveal that there is more happening beneath the surface. These moments are fleeting, often lasting only a heartbeat, yet they can communicate volumes if you are attentive. The psychology behind this is fascinating. Humor acts as both a shield and a signal. It allows a person to explore intimacy safely, to express curiosity about another's response, and to gauge the potential for connection without explicitly stating her intentions. Recognizing and understanding these cues is essential to engaging authentically and respectfully. It requires patience, perception, and emotional intelligence to respond in a way that honors her subtlety, while allowing the conversation or interaction to deepen naturally. Physical proximity and touch, when observed thoughtfully, are perhaps the clearest indicators of someone's desire for closeness. It is not about overt or invasive gestures, but about small, meaningful interactions. A hand that lingers momentarily on your arm, a hug that lasts a heartbeat longer than expected, a seat chosen intentionally closer than what would be purely convenient. These behaviors are not conscious manipulations. They are instinctive manifestations of a need for physical and emotional presence. Humans are wired for touch, and when deprived, the longing for tactile connection becomes more pronounced, expressed through micro-interactions that communicate warmth and attention. One person might lean just slightly forward during conversation. Another might find ways to maintain proximity even in casual settings. Each subtle act is an expression of desire for connection, an attempt to feel closeness without demanding it. Recognizing these gestures requires careful observation, awareness of context, and a readiness to respond with sensitivity. Responding appropriately is not about assuming intention, but about acknowledging presence, showing attentiveness, and allowing space for mutual comfort and engagement. The emotional impact of responding mindfully can be profound, transforming ordinary interactions into moments of trust, empathy, and deeper human understanding. Words themselves often change when emotional needs go unmet. Conversations that were once surface level, discussing work, shared experiences, or general news, can gradually become more personal, delving into feelings, past relationships, and reflections on human connection. A person who has been without intimacy may reveal vulnerability in small increments, testing whether the listener is attentive, empathetic, and capable of understanding their emotional state. These conversations are rarely accidental. They represent a subtle invitation to witness inner thoughts, a measured sharing that gauges receptivity and creates the possibility for a deeper bond. When someone speaks of longing, loneliness, or the aspects of connection they miss, it is not idle venting. It is a signal of trust and a silent request for understanding. Handling such moments with patience, care, and presence can build intimacy that is both emotional and psychological, laying the foundation for genuine connection. The key is listening beyond the words, perceiving the feelings beneath the surface, and responding with respect and attentiveness. This approach fosters an environment where vulnerability is met with empathy rather than judgment, and where emotional openness can flourish safely. Silent jealousy is another subtle yet powerful signal of underlying emotion. Unlike overt possessiveness, it manifests in almost imperceptible ways. Pauses in conversation, brief shifts in tone, playful or ironic comments with a hint of unease, or micro-reactions to attention being directed elsewhere. These behaviors are often unconscious, reflecting a person's recognition of value, desire, and interest without requiring a verbal declaration. They are a natural response to awareness that attention, affection, or focus may be directed towards someone else, and they often reveal an underlying hope for reciprocation or acknowledgement. Observing silent jealousy requires a nuanced understanding of emotional cues, a readiness to detect subtleties in expression, and the ability to interpret behavior without jumping to conclusions. Responding appropriately involves patience, empathy, and maintaining a presence that reassures without confrontation, allowing the person to express their internal state safely and without judgment. In essence, silent jealousy is not a sign of insecurity. It is an indication that the person values connection, cares about interaction, and is subtly seeking acknowledgement of their presence and emotional significance. The importance of shared, private time cannot be overstated. When someone who has been without intimacy seeks one-on-one experiences, it often reflects a desire for deeper engagement, not merely companionship. Inviting you into spaces where conversations are uninterrupted, where attention is focused, and where mutual presence can be experienced without distraction is an unspoken way of fostering closeness. Whether it is a quiet walk, a coffee together, or a casual evening spent sharing conversation, these moments create opportunities for emotional, psychological, and interpersonal bonds to strengthen. They are often carefully orchestrated to allow exploration of compatibility, interest, and connection in ways that group settings cannot facilitate. Observing the dynamics of these private interactions, noting the subtleties in attention, engagement, and responsiveness provides insight into unspoken interest and emotional readiness. Responding with mindfulness and presence in these contexts allows trust and connection to develop naturally, creating an environment where both parties feel comfortable exploring mutual interest without pressure or expectation. These private moments are rich with meaning, offering glimpses into emotional states, preferences, and desires that might remain hidden in busier, more public interactions. Constant subtle flirtation is another behavior that emerges naturally when someone has been without intimacy. It is not overt, aggressive, or demanding. Rather, it is a light, continuous interplay of curiosity, attention, and measured engagement. Smiles that linger just a beat longer than usual, jokes with double meanings, playful nudges in conversation, and consistent eye contact all become part of an ongoing pattern designed to signal interest without explicit verbalization. This type of interaction is a delicate balance between testing boundaries, gauging receptivity, and maintaining social comfort. For someone who has experienced a period without connection, it represents a safe, yet persistent method of exploring emotional and psychological engagement. Recognizing this form of subtle flirtation requires attentiveness, pattern recognition, and an appreciation for nuance. Responding effectively demands the same qualities: careful observation, sensitivity to cues, and a willingness to engage thoughtfully without assuming intent prematurely. When approached with respect, understanding, and empathy, these ongoing interactions can evolve naturally into deeper connection, trust, and mutual interest, providing a pathway to meaningful relational development. Understanding these layers of communication, body language, humor, physical proximity, conversational depth, silent jealousy, private interaction, and ongoing flirtation equips you with the tools to navigate human connection with depth and authenticity. Each gesture, glance, and comment is a clue, a silent signal of emotional and psychological states seeking acknowledgement. Approaching these signals with awareness allows for genuine engagement, fostering relationships built on understanding, respect, and mutual attentiveness. The mastery of observing and responding to these subtle behaviors does not imply manipulation. Rather, it represents a heightened empathy, emotional intelligence, and the ability to create connection that is meaningful and authentic. By attuning yourself to these signals, you become a participant in a subtle, intricate dance of human interaction, one where understanding, patience, and perceptiveness allow bonds to deepen, trust to grow, and emotional connection to flourish in ways that ordinary observation often misses. As we reach the final segment of this journey, it's time to explore the culmination of these subtle signals and the profound ways they shape the dynamics of human connection. What we've uncovered is not a mere list of behaviors, but a rich, intricate language that speaks to desire, longing, trust, and emotional readiness. When someone has been without intimacy for a period of time, every movement, glance, and choice of words can carry layers of meaning that reveal not only what they are feeling, but also the spaces they are willing to share with those who notice and care to understand. Imagine a woman who, over months or even years, has navigated the ebb and flow of human interaction without the outlet of emotional or physical closeness. Her body has adapted in subtle ways, her humor has shifted to explore hidden cues, her conversations have deepened, her moments of silence and playful teasing have taken on new significance, and her desire for one-on-one connection has become carefully woven into her social patterns. Each of these behaviors is a manifestation of the human need for connection, an instinctive response to unmet emotional and tactile needs, and an invitation for others to engage with authenticity, empathy, and care. The interplay between body language, humor, conversation, and subtle flirtation creates a nuanced web of signals that can be deciphered when approached with intentional observation and emotional intelligence. The body, as we have discussed, communicates continuously and unconsciously. A hand that brushes lightly against yours, a posture that leans closer, or an eye that holds your gaze just a little longer than expected is a message in itself. These are micro-expressions of energy, yearning, and attention, clues to a person's inner world that demand careful, respectful interpretation. Humor, in turn, acts as both shield and bridge, offering a socially safe space to test boundaries and reveal interest without exposure. When combined with subtle conversational shifts and the quiet signaling of jealousy or longing, a sophisticated pattern emerges. One that, when recognized, provides a roadmap to understanding emotional states that are otherwise difficult to access. Each gesture, each nuance is a small window into a complex emotional landscape, requiring patience, mindfulness, and empathy to navigate effectively. Observing these cues is an art, and responding with thoughtfulness is a practice that can transform relationships from superficial interaction to profound connection. Equally important is the way private one-on-one interaction functions as a canvas for these subtle cues to become more apparent. When someone who has been without intimacy seeks opportunities for shared time in quieter, more controlled settings, it is often an unspoken request for deeper engagement. These moments are not about exclusion from social groups. They are about creating the psychological and emotional space necessary for authentic connection. Shared laughter, uninterrupted conversation, mutual attention, and the gentle dance of body language converge in these private encounters to reveal intentions, preferences, and openness. Observing how a person navigates these intimate contexts, how they adjust their proximity, how they maintain engagement, and how their gestures and humor shift, provides rich insight into their emotional state. By responding with presence, attentiveness, and empathy, you honor their vulnerability, cultivate trust, and participate actively in the creation of a relational environment where connection can thrive. This is not about manipulation or expectation. It is about mutual understanding, awareness, and respect for the intricate dance of human emotional expression. Constant playful engagement, light teasing, consistent eye contact, and subtle flirtation is another domain where unspoken intention manifests. These interactions are not overt, nor are they forced. Rather, they evolve naturally over time as a means of exploring compatibility, curiosity, and emotional reciprocity. For someone who has experienced a period without connection, these behaviors represent a safe method of communicating interest, testing boundaries, and inviting attention without necessitating verbal articulation. It is a form of emotional and psychological signaling, a way to gauge responsiveness while maintaining social comfort. The ongoing nature of this flirtation allows both participants to experience the rhythm and dynamics of potential connection before decisions or declarations need to be made. Recognizing these patterns, understanding the intention behind them, and responding with mindfulness ensures that engagement remains respectful, authentic, and mutually fulfilling. It is in these subtle, consistent interactions that the potential for deeper emotional bonds becomes tangible, and where attentiveness and empathy play a central role in transforming social interaction into meaningful connection. Perhaps the most important lesson in observing these behaviors is the necessity of approaching them with sensitivity, respect, and awareness. Each microgesture, each subtle shift in humor or tone, each silent signal of jealousy or longing, and each invitation to private interaction is an opportunity to practice empathy, perception, and emotional intelligence. Misinterpretation or hasty assumption can easily disrupt the delicate balance of trust and openness that these signals represent. Instead, by cultivating patience and mindful awareness, you learn to perceive the nuanced emotional landscape of those around you, responding in ways that honor their intentions, maintain comfort, and foster authenticity. Emotional connection is not built on manipulation or superficial pursuit. It is nurtured through attentive presence, careful observation, and thoughtful engagement. By embracing this mindset, you transform the act of noticing subtle behaviors into a tool for meaningful interaction, one that deepens understanding, cultivates trust, and fosters genuine relational growth. Recognizing and honoring the complexity behind each gesture and interaction allows relationships to evolve in ways that are both emotionally fulfilling and ethically sound. Beyond individual interactions, understanding these subtle signals has broader implications for human connection in general. It teaches us the value of empathy, the power of attentiveness, and the importance of perceiving what is often left unsaid. In a world where communication is increasingly superficial and digital, the ability to read unspoken cues, respond thoughtfully, and honor emotional expression is a rare and powerful skill. Each glance, gesture, and shift in behavior carries potential insight into a person's needs, desires, and readiness for connection. Approaching these interactions with care and mindfulness creates an environment where both parties can engage authentically, where trust and emotional safety are prioritized, and where the richness of human experience can be fully realized. It is through these deliberate, sensitive approaches that deeper understanding, intimacy, and relational fulfillment emerge, allowing bonds to develop beyond surface-level engagement into meaningful, emotionally resonant connection. Learning to observe and respond to these signs equips you with the tools to participate in relationships with authenticity, awareness, and respect. Finally, the ultimate takeaway from observing these subtle behaviors is that connection is not always verbal. It is woven into the micro moments of everyday interaction, encoded in gesture, gaze, humor, and the rhythm of shared presence. Every action, no matter how small, communicates something about the emotional and psychological state of the person expressing it. Recognizing these moments requires patience, focus, and an appreciation for nuance. Responding effectively requires empathy, authenticity, and the willingness to meet subtle signals with presence and care. When approached in this way, human interaction transcends the superficial and becomes a deeply connective, relational experience. Those who master this awareness are able to cultivate relationships that are emotionally rich, mutually fulfilling, and built on genuine understanding. They recognize that behind each gesture, glance, joke, or shift in conversation lies a story waiting to be acknowledged, a need waiting to be honored, and a connection waiting to be realized. By approaching human behavior with intentional awareness, emotional intelligence, and respectful curiosity, we can create a world where relationships are more meaningful, interactions are more genuine, and the subtle language of emotion is understood and cherished. Understanding these signals is not about acquiring an advantage, nor is it about exploiting subtle cues for personal gain. It is about cultivating presence, empathy, and perceptiveness, qualities that deepen relationships, enhance communication, and allow for authentic connection. Each signal represents an opportunity to see, hear, and understand someone in ways that words alone cannot convey. By remaining attentive to body language, humor, conversational depth, private invitations, playful flirtation, and even silent expressions of longing or jealousy, we learn to engage in interactions that are nuanced, respectful, and profoundly human. Emotional literacy, the ability to read and respond to these subtle signals, is a skill that enhances every aspect of life, from friendships to professional relationships to romantic connections. By approaching this art of observation with care, patience, and ethical intention, we ensure that connection is nurtured in ways that honor the individuality, agency, and emotional integrity of those involved. In the end, the journey of understanding these subtle signals is a journey into human psychology, empathy, and relational mastery. Each micro-movement, glance, and expression provides a window into the inner world of another person, revealing what is often unspoken but deeply felt. By learning to read these cues, respond thoughtfully, and engage with genuine curiosity, we transform ordinary social interaction into meaningful connection, creating relationships grounded in trust, respect, and emotional resonance. It is in these small moments of attention, care, and observation that the richness of human connection is truly revealed. By embracing this approach, we not only deepen our understanding of others, but also enrich our own emotional awareness, becoming more compassionate, perceptive, and attuned. Participants in the intricate dance of human interaction.